Alright, it's time for the next section of our exponential functions properties assignment. Let's move on to 4. A is just trying to get the domain. How far left and right does it go? Well, it goes left forever and right forever, so my domain is from negative infinity to infinity. B is trying to figure out how far up and down it goes. Well, how far down does my function go? It goes down until it almost reaches 0. How far up does it go? Well, it keeps going up and up and up, so it goes to positive infinity. And that's the range, how far up and down it goes. C is my x-intercept. Well, if it never crosses your x-axis, that doesn't exist, so we're going to put none. And then D is my y-intercept. It crosses right there, and that's at point 0, 1. E is asking where is it positive, as in where is it above my x-axis. That's everywhere. So from negative infinity to infinity, it's going to be positive. If it's positive arrow, it can't be negative anywhere, so that interval doesn't exist. And that brings us to the next part, which is the interval where it's increasing. Travel from left to right. Where is your function going up? Well, that's nowhere. So this one doesn't have an interval where it's increasing. But if it's not increasing anywhere, there's a good chance it's decreasing somewhere. Travel from left to right. Your function is going to keep going down and down and down and down. And so this one, the interval, goes from negative infinity to infinity. How it's going to go. And my next part is my end behavior. So as your x values approach negative infinity, what does your function do? Well, your function is going to continue to go up as you go left forever and ever and ever. And so your function is going to approach positive infinity, and it doesn't have any bound. It just keeps going up, and there's nothing stopping it. Whereas when you go the other direction, as in when you go to the right where x goes to positive infinity, your function does keep going down, but it's not unlimited. It never actually crosses your x-axis. So this one is going to approach 0, as in the height is going to be 0. And that brings us to the last part. What's your asymptote? That's the line it gets really close to but doesn't cross. It's going to be just like that. That's going to be the line of y equals 0. And that brings us to 5. Okay, so how far left and right does it go? That's your domain from negative infinity to infinity. How far up and down does it go? Well, it goes down forever, so my range is going to go down to negative infinity, but it doesn't go up forever. It actually gets really close to this line here, your x-axis, and so it goes all the way up to 0. And while we're at it, since we're talking about that, it gets really, really close to that line, which is the asymptote. It never actually crosses, but gets really close. That's the equation of the line. When it's the x-axis, it's the line y equals 0. And that brings us to C. Where does it cross your x-axis? It doesn't. So that doesn't exist. There's no x-intercept. Where does it cross the y-axis? It's going to be right there at at 0, negative 4. Alright, where is my function positive, meaning above my x-axis? Well, that's nowhere, so that doesn't exist. F is where is it negative? Well, it's always below the x-axis. So from negative infinity to infinity, it's going to be down below. G is the interval where it's increasing. So go from left to right. Is it ever going up? The answer is no. And so there is no interval where it's increasing. But if you travel from left to right, my function is always going down, down and down and down and down and down. And so from negative infinity to infinity, my function is decreasing. And that brings us to the last part, the end behavior. So as your x values travel left forever, and as in your x's approach negative infinity, your function goes to what height? Well, if you go left forever, it gets really, really close to the x-axis, but doesn't cross it, but it's approaching it, which is a height of 0. As your x goes the other way, though, positive infinity, as you travel right forever, your function is going to go down, and it keeps going down. There's no bound. There's no asymptote on that side. So it's just going to be, your function is just going to be approaching negative infinity. There you go. So there's 5. Moving on to 6. How far left and right does it go? Well, it goes left and right forever in both directions. So my domain is from negative infinity to infinity. B is the range. How far up and down does it go? Well, it goes down until it reaches this. Well, until it gets really, really close to this -4 asymptote. So my range goes from -4 upward, because my function goes up forever. It doesn't cross that line there at the bottom, the asymptote, and that's the line y equals -4. And let's get to C. What's the x-intercept? Well, it crosses right here at 2. So that's the point 2, 0. Where does it cross my y-axis? That's my y-intercept. It's going to be right there. That's the point 0, -3. E is the interval where it's positive. Well, it splits right here at 2. To the right side it's positive. To the left side it's negative. And so my positive interval goes from 2 onward, as in 2 to the right, 2 and to the right. And my negative interval is all the way from negative infinity until it reaches 2. And that brings us to G. Travel from left to right. Where is it going up? Well, it's going up everywhere. So from negative infinity to infinity, we have our function increasing. If it's increasing everywhere, it's not decreasing anywhere. So it doesn't have an interval where it's decreasing. And that brings us to the last part, I. What's happening with the end behavior? So as your x is approaching negative infinity, what's your function do? Well, travel left forever. Your function is going down and down and down and down and down, but it gets really, really close to -4 and never actually reaches it, but it approaches -4. And as x approaches positive infinity, what does your function do? Well, your function is just going to be approaching, well, it goes up forever and ever and ever without any bounds, so f of x goes to positive infinity. And that brings us to 8. How far left and right does it go? That's the domain. It goes left forever. It goes right forever. So my interval is from negative infinity to infinity. What's the range? Well, it goes down forever, but it doesn't go up forever. So going down forever is negative infinity. It goes up until it reaches this asymptote here of 6. So my range goes from negative infinity to 6. And while I was talking of asymptote, let's do part J. It's just the equation of this line, which is y equals 6. If it's a horizontal line, it's y equals that number. And that brings us to C. What's my x-intercept? Well, it crosses right there. That's the point 1, 0. Where does it cross my y-axis? Right there. That's the point 0, 4. So my function does shift from being positive to being negative. To the left of where x is 1, it's positive. And to the right of x being 1, my function is negative down below. So from negative infinity until you reach 1, it's positive. And from 1 onward, it's negative. And that brings us to G. Where is my function increasing? We'll travel from left to right. Is it ever going up? The answer is no. And so this part doesn't exist. It is going down everywhere, though. And so my interval where it's decreasing is from negative infinity to infinity. And that brings me to this next part. So when you want your end behavior, you need to do as x goes to negative infinity. And then your function is going to approach some value. So go left forever. What number is your function getting really, really close to? That number is 6. So that's my left end behavior. As x goes to the right, as you travel right on your function, how tall does it get? Well, if you go right forever, your function is going to keep going down forever. So my function is going to be approaching negative infinity because it doesn't have any bound on that side. And that's going to bring us to 8. How far left and right does it go? Well, it goes left forever and right forever. So this domain is going to be from negative infinity to infinity. How far down and up does it go? Well, it starts down here. It goes down here to this asymptote of y equals negative 4. And so my range goes from negative 4 and upward. Here, it goes up forever. Where is it crossing the x-axis? Over here at negative 4, 0. Where does it cross the y-axis? Right there. That's the point negative 3, 0. Oh, just kidding. Sheesh. 0, negative 3. E is where it's positive. Well, it switches right here at negative 4. On the left side, it's up above, so the left side is where it's positive. And the left side is from negative infinity to negative 4. And from negative 4 onward is where it's negative, as in below my x-axis, down here. So that's my interval where it's negative. If you want to figure out where it's increasing, travel from left to right. Where is it going up? It's not going up anywhere. So that doesn't exist. There's no interval where it's increasing. But my function is going down everywhere. So from negative infinity to infinity, my function is decreasing, going down, as you travel from left to right. This last part, as x approaches negative infinity, meaning as you go left forever, what height does your function get to? Well, it keeps going up and up and up without bound, and so my function is going to approach positive infinity. The next one, as x approaches positive infinity, meaning as you go right forever, what does your function do? Well, your function keeps going down and down and down, but it doesn't get past negative 4. It does approach negative 4, though. And there's your answers for 3.